I'm not gonna lie, I could really get used to driving this thing to the workshop every day. Woo! This thing feels good. Starting to make a morning routine out of this. Dunkin' caramel macchiato. Today though, I got a cream cheese plain bagel because bagels are kind of awesome. You don't really get them in Australia or Japan freely and easily. So yeah, that's my breakfast today. But I have some amazing news to tell you guys. We did it. I don't know how, but we hit the target. So today, right now, I'm about to jump on the phone and order the fully forged rebuild kit for the 1.6 motor. I don't really know what to say. I'm beyond excited, but I'm also just like kind of wowed and amazed. The first thing before we can order everything though, there's another order, is I need to take the head off and just triple check that my piston walls and bores are the correct factory size and they don't need to be overbored or machined or anything like that. If they need to be machined, then that's gonna bring the price up of everything. But I'm hoping that everything, from what I can see from the bottom end, everything looks really good on the cylinder walls and the pistons. So I don't think there's anything too crazy going on there, and we'll be able to just slap the rebuild kit in with like just a little bit of a dingleberry kind of, you know, cross hatching, just freshen up, you know what I mean? We don't need to go too crazy and send it to the machine shop. Anyways, that aside, I'm gonna get this head off after I eat breakfast. We'll measure the bores and go from there.
I wonder if you know how they live in Tokyo. If you see me, then you know you have to go fast and furious. Fast and furious. Oh, no, almost got myself. There we go, she's all loose now. Now let's get the rattle gun and zip these off. Now the question is, oh look at that, the head's just gonna come right off. Beautiful!
Hell yeah. I'm actually pretty pumped that that just came right off and I didn't have to hammer nothing. So check this out, looking over the head gasket, we can see here that there's no penetration or anything between any of the pistons, which is really good. Nothing like within the water jackets and oil jackets or anything there, which is really good. This thing looks super, super healthy. It's a pretty decent looking head gasket, honestly. It's pretty good. So this is going aside because we have a brand new ARP one on the way for this. But my goal for today, we don't want to lose these dowels, and pop that back in there, is I want to double check the sidewall on my piston. So I'm going to get some brake cleaner for now and just clean out around the piston. I'm going to go get the vernier calipers, you know what I'm trying to say, the measuring tool to check that this hasn't gotten bigger or smaller, and check it all the way around, and then we'll order our pistons. But man, this thing, the more and more I strip it down, the more and more I realize just how tiny this 1.6 Miata engine is. It kind of reminds me of like a K motor, but K motors in Japan are only 3 cylinders like this. So it's kind of insane. Anyway, smallest engine I've definitely worked on, that's for sure. I'm already razor blading stuff off. I've really come to love razor blading and cleaning up surfaces since I got this engine. All right, I'm rambling on. Let's go get the measuring tool and make sure everything's all good and order our pistons. So I grabbed the verniers. I remembered the name correctly this time, and we are right on the money. For a rough measurement, we're at 78.54 millimeters. Now I'm like the factory piston size is 78.5, so we're perfect there. Now this engine just keeps surprising me. Look at how perfect that cross hatching is. I don't even think I need to freshen this hone up at all. Like, it is so fresh. It almost looks like this was redone recently. It's kind of insane. Look at that fresh cross hatching in there. For a thing that's done, this thing had done 130,000 miles, so it didn't have high mileage, but this is beautiful. Look at that cross hatching. Like, I don't know if the camera's gonna focus good enough for that, but it's spot on. We still might just go over it just with a dingleberry thing just to freshen it up like 100%, but I am pumped, man. This motor looks so healthy, it's insane. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this gasket material off. I've got to go to AutoZone, pick up the timing kit, and I also want to order new engine mounts because when I was going through and packing the engine mounts in here, hang on, let me show you. This is what I found. Bum, bum, bum. Look at that, big split through there. And even the other one, like, look at this one too. This side split through there. I can't see the other one, it's probably at the bottom of the pile, but it's there. But that was split as well. So we're definitely putting new engine mounts in this puppy as well. I'm also trying to talk to a couple companies about doing the coolant reroute kit. So I really want to do that to just make this thing look even better with not having any piping coming in the front. I think it'll just be way better as well for cooling, because if we can get the flying Miata one, the actual thermostat is inside the head where it should be, not outside of the head. What that means is the thermostat is kind of delayed in opening because it's not really getting true temperature of what's happening inside the head. So that's why the coolant reroute is kind of actually more than just making things look pretty. It's actually a way smarter move. Now, there are some reroute kits that just bring the thermostat back out to the side here. And it's, I mean, yes, it reroutes everything, but that's all that's good for. It's not actually like opening the thermostat faster. So yeah, I kind of want to go with the Flying Miata one for now. There is another brand as well that has them, but I'm trying to reach out and just see what we can do and see who's open, because it seems like Flying Miata isn't shipping any orders right now due to the pandemic. So anyways, that aside, I'm super pumped about this engine. I'm so mind blown for how much RTV was all over this thing. To see how healthy the sidewalls are in the cylinder walls is just mind blowing. So anyways, that aside, I'm gonna go order everything, and then we'll go to AutoZone and get parts. Just got back from AutoZone, and I've got the brand new timing kit for the Miata. Comes with everything, even all the little rubber gasket seals and stuff for the timing case, which I'm really pumped on. Now, I have been working on the deck of this with a little polishing wheel, not a coarse wheel. Don't worry, I'm not damaging or digging into the steel or the metal whatsoever. Just a polishing wheel and a razor blade to get it like this. We are now going to go to Harbor Freight and get one of those sharpening blocks. So the blocks that are super straight that you normally sharpen a knife on. That's what we use in Japan for decking our blocks, because it's a straight edge, and with a bit of water, you just keep running it over the block like this, and you can get all the imperfections out. And I mean, it's time consuming. Oh, there's my water pump, which I wanted to show you guys in a little bit, but it just came off. I literally just undid that and it kind of fell off. I was gonna do like a, hey, RTV, yay or nay, but I mean, the RTV's actually, there's not a lot here. There's definitely some here. Original gasket, looks like they just RTV'd both sides of the gasket, and then around the pump here for some reason. All here and here. Interesting. But yeah, so the pump actually looks relatively new. The more and more I pull this engine apart, the more and more I'm starting to wonder if someone had actually been in here and rebuilt a lot of this stuff. Like, especially with how good the cross hatching is in the cylinder walls and stuff. Anyway, so that aside, we're going to use that sharpening block, and we're going to keep running it and working on it and getting this block decked really, really nice, which I'm pumped about. And then with the head, we'll check that over, make sure that's true and straight, and then we'll be good for the gasket when that arrives, probably in the next couple of days. I'm so excited. I literally cannot, like, oh man, we got to paint the block now as well. Oh, we're going all out. All right, let's go. I just got back from Harbor Freight, and I picked up one of these knife sharpening stones, which is what I was telling you guys about. So what you do is you use this because it's a straight edge, and you work on the deck of the block to get everything perfect. Now, you don't want to do it dry. You actually want to do it wet. But you don't need to use water. You can actually just use like a bit of PB Blaster penetrating fluid, like WD-40, that kind of stuff works really good. So just going to spray a bit of this on here and see how the stone like instantly absorbs it. It's kind of crazy, right? So put this on here, and we're just going to work it. And I'm going to stand here for the next like hour doing this, maybe even longer, to get this perfect. But this is what we do in Japan. Whenever Oka-chan's rebuilding an engine or anything like that, this is how we work it. And yeah, the amount of times I've been in his workshop, and literally we've just been doing this for hours sometimes on an SR20 deck, it's kind of insane. So I'm going to keep working at this, and I'll pick up the camera in a little bit, and then we're going to pull the con rods and pistons out and stuff like that, and get this thing all cleaned up with some ATF fluid and ready. But I'm sure you don't want to see me just doing this for the next 3 hours.
I've been here. I don't know what's going on, but all of a sudden I feel like Content Master 64 is about to come back. I'm so exhausted.
Yeah, you deck that block.
Uh-huh.
The way, just the way I have it, your camera set up right now.
We're getting there.
All right.
Still need a bit more.
we're getting there. So check this out, guys. I've probably spent about 45 minutes on this now, and look how good that's looking. Amazing, right? And all it is a $3 sharpening stone. So just be careful, like don't go and buy like ones that are curved or anything. You want the straight edge ones, the ones that are straight, perfectly straight. And then yeah, like I said, WD-40, you can use some things like ATF fluid. I've heard of people using that and stuff. But yeah, just go over it. I'm probably going to spend another like 15 minutes on this. I'm going to do a full hour on it just to get it like a little bit extra perfect. But yeah, it's prepped that surface really nice, ready for the head gasket. I'm really happy with that. We got the engine rolled over now. Time to drop the con rods and pistons. We're leaving the crank as is, not touching that until we got the build kit, and we're going to start replacing and switching our bearings and stuff. I'm going to put the camera. Rods out, and I've kind of made a pretty crappy discovery. While the bearings are fine on cylinder 4, I mean it's weird, like it has signs here of a bit of heat. It's kind of odd. I'm starting to wonder if someone disassembled this engine and just slapped in bearings at some point, because number 4 here has some grooves in the crank that my nail catch on, which is really disappointing. You can kind of see them there on the camera. So I'm a bit upset and disappointed about that. But the best thing is Chris has a good bottom end over here that I can read the crank from, this thing here. So I'm gonna have to disassemble that tomorrow and get the crank out and check that. Shouldn't take me too long. I still wanna use my block and stuff like that if the clearances are all okay with that other crank and there's no problems. The only other concern I now have is my main caps and knowing whether or not the bearings in there and the condition there is all good. It should be fine, but yeah, obviously, I don't know. It kind of looks like, from everything with all the RTV, the condition of the head gasket and how like new that kind of looked, I'm starting to wonder if someone did a home rebuild on this, because it would kind of make sense. Oh man, I wish I knew for sure, but like it's just so weird that there's damage on the crank here, and then as well there's some markings on the crank for number 3. Look at this. My nail doesn't catch. Oh, it kind of catches a little bit actually, but like you can see on 3 there's some interesting marks. But then 2, fine. 1, fine. So it looks like something kind of went down with 3 and 4. And what I'm suspecting what's happened is someone's just done a home rebuild, slapped new bearings in, never sent the crank away. Well, I mean, really, you shouldn't even send that crank away. That should go in the bin. So that kind of, I mean, now I don't feel bad that I got this thing for $700 off that kid now, because, I mean, imagine if we didn't do the rebuild kit, guys, and I never took these pistons out. This totally would have been a spun bearing, 100%. With a damage on the crank like that, it would have been a ticking time bomb. So honestly, I'm really glad that we did decide to do the rebuild kit, because we wouldn't have found this otherwise. And this is why it's sometimes like when you buy stuff and everything seems okay, you go throw turbo on it and it blows up. A lot of people, you know, be like, oh, my tuner was really rubbish, or something else went wrong, but it could have been as simple as this. You just got a bad engine. And that's what it kind of looks like to me. It looks like, I really do think someone's built this from home at some point, because that would also explain why the cross hatching looks so fresh in the cylinder walls. So that kind of sucks, but it's okay. We can make do with everything that we have here and still do an engine build. Chris has another 1.6 engine there, and obviously the block over here that we're going to disassemble. This is the old D16 that completely destroyed itself. I don't know if you can see everything messed up in there. So apparently this bottom end block is really, really good. Like it's healthy, didn't have any spun bearings or anything. And I'll talk to Chris and do a deal and try to get the crank out of this, because obviously that means if I'm just taking the crank and my block's fine and we're going to do that, then obviously this block is really not worth anything to anyone. So I'm going to have to pay for that whole bottom end. It's not fair otherwise. But yeah, it is what it is. Sometimes these things happen. I'm just glad we pulled everything apart at the end of the day and didn't just slap a turbo on it and send it, because it would have blown up for sure. That's kind of scary. So there you guys go. Anyways, with that, we got everything disassembled, and I guess we're going to move on to the next step. And I'm not going to clean anything. We're going to wrap everything up in shop towels for now, just to try and stop things from getting in there. And tomorrow I'm going to disassemble that other block and pull the crank out and see how that is, and hope we got a good crank out of that. Because if we get a good crank, and if everything checks out with clearances on this block, I will strip down that block as well, because there's a good chance we may need to switch to that block. And if we switch to this block, then we need to make sure that our piston walls are fine and stuff like that. Like, just having a look here, this thing's been out in the weather a bit, it's a bit rusted. There's some cross hatching there, not a lot. This one looks like a lot more of a higher mileage block for sure. Yeah, you can see it's got some rust here. It doesn't look the greatest. So hopefully we can get away using my block. Just looking for cross hatching on that. Yeah, it's pretty glazed. So this would definitely need a dingleberry for sure. But yeah, we'll make do. We'll be able to get something working and reliable here. I'm quite confident. Worst case scenario, we may need to think about taking this crank and seeing if the machine shop can save it. And we may need to just send my block off as well with the new crank if tolerances and clearances aren't correct with that crank in there and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But we have hit, obviously, a little bit of a speed bump. But hopefully we can get everything resolved by the end of the week. And tomorrow will be good news when we pull down that other block. I couldn't wait, guys. I had to know what was going on and if we were going to have a good crank out of this motor. And I took the sump off, and everything in this block looks super clean, actually. It looks very well looked after. So I'm pretty confident that when I take all the conrods and the mains off and stuff, we're going to find that this crank's in really good condition. It's actually really nice in there. I didn't even know this had oil squirters, this engine, this block. Wait, what? Oh yeah, my block has oil squirters too. Damn, these are meant to be turboed. I didn't even notice that. All right, I'm going to pull the crank out. One thing I love about this is the oil pan is not damaged at all from someone trying to get in there. So I'm going to probably end up using this oil pan now, because I just bought this whole bottom end off Chris for $100 because it was kind of an unknown condition, but I'm glad we pulled it apart. Going to take the crank out. I'm just going to zip off the pulley and everything and try and get this thing out as quick as I can. Oh crap, I do have to strip this down heaps because we got to get the oil pump off. Damn it. Okay, maybe I'll do that tomorrow now, but at least I'll get... Oh, damn it. Marcus, how much for you to do this for me?
I just worked 12 hours today.
Yeah, okay, you win. All right, I'm sure if I just quickly smash this out, we'll get all the accessories off and get the oil pump off in no time. Let's go. I know this looks like a huge mess, because it is. But so far, I'm getting the second piston out now. But so far, the crank looks amazing, which is kind of what we saw with the other one. So hopefully, this one turns out really, really well, really good condition. Otherwise, I'm going to have to buy a different crank. I found a supplier already, who's kind of like 45 minutes away, that might have one, if this isn't good. But so far, we're looking good. The condition of this motor looks actually surprisingly pretty good. Conrods look really good. There's no weird oil staining yellow stuff. I'm actually kind of surprised with this thing that sat out in the rain a bit, from what I understand. Seems like nothing got in the bottom end. Let's get this other one out now. Super easy. I always use a hammer, like a wooden hammer or a rubber-based hammer, just because you're not going to damage anything tapping that out by using the handle like this. Oh yeah. 3 looks amazing. This crank's looking really healthy, actually. Almost there. Didn't catch it that time. She was a bit stubborn. That's what I mean. It sat out in the rain, so you can really see that it was a bit rusty. Yeah, there's actually a fair bit of rust in the ringlands there. So this engine, if it got fired up, would not have been good, just because of that. Oh yeah, that would have seized up. Wouldn't have seized, but it just would have probably ended in bad compression issues. See all that gunk and rust in the ringlands? Yeah, so this bottom end would have had to have been pulled apart and cleaned out if it was going to run. Same with this one too. This one's all full of rust too. Which is why you never leave. Let me have a look here. See how this one, all the ring lands are full of rust? That would not have been a good time. Alright. Look at this mess that I've made here. It's honestly insane, and like it's stressing me out because obviously this is Chris's shop and he's letting me use his space. So I want to make sure that like I'm not taking up so much space. And I was hoping to just have this amount of space in his shop for my engine build. And now it's kind of turned to this. I'm going to try and clean and pack this all up tonight though. But I do have some really good news. I should have started with that. Anyways, this crank is perfect. Couldn't be any better, honestly. Everything looks great. There's no scoring, no heat marks, no nothing. So this crank is a goer. I just took all the caps and everything off on this one, and mains looking great. So we are probably going to be able to just switch the cranks over. One thing I noticed though, remember how I said this thing looked like it had probably been rebuilt? Here's your proof. This is normally put on there by an engineer, or when it's gone to an engineering shop, you know, they mark it, put all the information there when they balance it and spin it up and stuff like that, which is kind of funny. What I can see here, it kind of looks like it's got like 0.20 or 30 there, which maybe it's got a little bit thicker bearings on there or something, because this has already been grinded down. I don't know. It's kind of hard to read that, but yeah, there you go. Also, I found out why my rear main keeps saying bye-bye. Look at all that rust just chilling there. So that's probably just been chewing the rear main out and spitting it out and leaking. But anyways, this crank looks perfect. It's going to do everything we need. Everything looks amazing. No rust, no nothing anywhere. Really happy about that. And this block is obviously in really good condition because it's been to a machine shop before, and that's why it's got great cross hatching and stuff like that. So we will be switching cranks. If anyone needs any 1.6 Miata parts, please hit me up. I now have a bunch of parts, including this engine block. If anyone wants this engine block, I'll do it for you for like super cheap. Like, I don't know, like what are they worth? $50 with no crank? I don't know. You tell me, you DM me on Instagram and you can come pick this up and I'll give it to you for whatever you offer. And plus there's like an alternator and AC. I don't know if they work, power steering and stuff. Some engine mounts that are good. I did buy brand new ones. These ones are fine though, but I'm just going to use the brand new ones I bought. So if you guys need engine mounts, these are good. But yeah, just hit me up. Obviously I want to try and recoup some money on having to buy this block off Chris and stuff like that. I'm just really glad that the crank was okay, because that would have sucked. I'm sure Chris would have given my money back even if it was bad. But anyways, also if anyone wants pistons and conrods, I have a lot of them. So I know, you know, some of you guys, maybe you just need one piston and conrod because, you know, you're rebuilding a motor and one of them's bad or something, like the ring lands are stuffed. Obviously, I'm not talking about these pistons. These conrods are fine, but these pistons are no-go because of all the rust in the ring lands and the rings. Talking about these pistons, they look good. So yeah, just hit me up if any of you guys need any of these parts. You're more than welcome to them. Some of them are probably just going to end up in the dumpster, so even if you come and offer me like $10, you can take it. So yeah. That aside, please hit me up in the DMs on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, definitely follow me on Instagram. Also, I recently started TikTok, so go check me out. It's actually the same as my Instagram name and Twitter name, which is just SAMMIT01. You'll find me on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm really trying to get my Twitter audience up. I love Twitter. I think Twitter is so much better than Facebook right now. Facebook is so toxic and gross. Like, everyone's just so negative on Facebook. I hate it. And yeah, Twitter just seems to be way easier to kind of filter all that stuff out. So I've been enjoying that now. But yeah, TikTok is just too addictive. I got to be very careful with myself with that. But yeah, I've been posting some cool, funny stuff there. Anyways, I'm going to try and clean up, pack up, and then we'll pick things up from there. All right, so I just finished cleaning everything up and I've organized everything just so I'm only using this little bit of space here. Quite fortunate that Chris just said I could take one of those containers because I'm only going to need it for probably a couple days. But yeah, I've got everything laid out. I've got cloths over everything that I don't want dirt or dust settling in, so we should be fine. Tomorrow's going to be a bit of a crazy day. We're probably not going to be at the workshop. You'll find out later. Got some really good plans. We're heading back up to Orlando, so you guys already know what's happening. But with that, I think we're going to wrap up tonight. I'm exhausted. It's already like probably midnight, so let's head home. So back home now, and I'm really pumped to edit the video, finish up everything I need to do, and then pass out because I am exhausted. We did a lot of stuff today. Obviously, the best thing is that we are now forging the 1.6 engine that is going in the Miata, which I am so happy about because when we made that decision and we pulled the trigger on that, we obviously took the con rods out and found that the crank wasn't happy. That, you know, someone has gone and rebuilt that before and just done a sloppy rebuild, it seems, which is kind of weird because the crank was marked as if it had been to a machine shop. So maybe someone just made a mistake with tolerances or clearances or something when they were doing everything, or the oil wasn't, like the block wasn't cleaned properly, some sand particles or anything got in there, you don't know. So that kind of sucks. But at the same time, I'm glad we discovered that, because that now means that I'm not just slapping on a turbo and then you guys, whoever wins the car later on down the track, gets a spun bearing, because that would absolutely suck, and that is not something I want to happen, because I'd feel terrible. So blessing in disguise. So we found the crank. Yes, it sucked that the crank was bad, but Chris had that spare block lying on the side that was perfect. The crank was amazing. And like I said, guys, if any of you guys need any of those parts that came on that block, I have no use for them, so I'd rather you guys take advantage of it. Like I said, DM me whether you want con rods, pistons, the bare block itself with no crank or anything. You know, there's an alternator, there's a power steering pump, there's an AC compressor, just anything you saw. Just DM me, shoot me an offer, come grab it. I really don't mind. Like I said, I'd rather you guys take advantage of it rather than it just sitting around doing nothing and eventually probably end up in a dumpster. So that aside, I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. Fully forged 1.6, it's happening. We definitely need to figure out what Chris is going to do now, because I've kind of risen brought the bar up now. So we got to see if he's going to meet. We'll find out. But anyways, with that, guys, hope you liked the video. Smash the like button, leave us a comment. Don't forget to get your Miata giveaway entries, because it is now a fully forged turbo Miata giveaway. So don't miss out. Catch the next one. Peace out. Jamata.